Yeah.
Okay. Were you just telling them about it?
I tell you, this guy right here, he said, I walked up and said, good morning to Gary, he's the same thing I was doing. Oh, yeah.
And I can't stand the heat. These days roll around, I'm like,
Good morning, Mr. Tim. How are you, sir? Yes, indeed. Our fearless leader here.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, bro.
Now it's cold. I've known him my whole life.
I tested these this morning.
They do so much
There's no feedback. They fixed it. Because that one I was just like,
Oh, really?
the last BOE, I said, I'm just gonna shout.
Makes the voice carry.
I can't, because every time, even with a lower tone, I was like, good morning. Anton, hey, Mr. Anton.
Good morning.
Like I said, she was
Got a
coming.
fancy.
That might not be his name.
SMS text.
But I
Come on. Short of.
somebody gotta reach out to on the fireworks thing. I already know about the boat. That they moved it? They have, yes. They need to adjust our insurance. Our insurance coverage. She works for the Florida Department. That's T.
Good morning, for the applicants, if you guys hadn't signed it already, we have to back everything.
Yeah, yeah, she works in our department. She and I.
Sign in and out.
We both knew
Right back
crazy.
there. And
She
then
does
sign in.
Yeah, so, I get, is it gonna be on? It was approved.
Good morning, good morning.
The day it was originally supposed to be. Right. So is it gonna be on?
Oh, yeah.
The 11th, especially me.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that it was the 12th. They just announced last night they were to the 12th, because I was told yesterday it was being moved to Saturday. Yeah, I just got a text from Allison. Roger, I said, and it's on the news, as it's on the 12th. Okay, so, which is next Friday. I'll have to get out on Saturday.
He's a great guy.
Is that? If we need to, yeah. Yeah, because whenever he told me yesterday, she was told it was gonna be not Friday, but Saturday. So, 12. So, it was originally supposed to be on the 5th. Yeah, they were gonna move it to 6th, but the weather's still not promising. Okay, so that was, okay, this is new. Okay, just came out last night. I'll have to get what I was at. Let me run it.
They changed my birthday party from outside to inside.
Oh, bless your heart.
Oh, no.
Looking at it, it's like 90% done.
That's anxiety at its finest. I'm sorry.
They weren't going to come to the house, and now they're not. Miley's my favorite. Eight little kids running around.
Oh, yeah, man. Good
Don't-
thing you're
don't tell
on
me.
tip-top shape, man.
I don't know about that anymore. I'm on the backside of 30, tip top.
Oh, no, you're
On
on
the
tip-top
backside of 30.
shape.
It's over now, Kristen. It's all over.
30.
That's what I do, I sing it every word.
Hey, Anton.
You got a date.
I am copying it
Date,
again.
date.
Oh, my goodness, there are cough drops. Can you please bring those to me? Thank you. Thank you. All right.
We gotta take care of our customers. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, because they can't in a rainstorm.
Well, yeah. But it would be kind of cool if they
But
could.
how great is it that these people are actually
I'll just knock. I'm not gonna dig that thing out right now. Good morning. We are going to call this meeting to order, the Escambia County Competency Board, December 3rd, 2025. If you would, let's all stand and pledge to the allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary?
Please silence all cell phones. If you wish to speak, please let the board secretary know in advance. Otherwise, raise your hand for the board chair to recognize your request. When the chairman calls you to speak, come to the podium, adjust the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You are requested to keep your remarks brief and factual. Both parties of any issue will be granted uniform maximum time to speak, usually runs between 3 to 5 minutes. This hearing is considered quasi-judicial. Conduct is formal, and profane or derogatory comments will not be tolerated.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Do we have a determination of a quorum today?
Yes, sir,
Obviously we
Mr.
do.
Chairman, with all members present, we do.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Nash, for taking care of last month. Thank you for that. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It was published November 27th, 2025 in the Pensacola News Journal.
Good deal. Do I have a motion for approval of minutes from the October 1, 2025 meeting?
Make a motion.
Have a motion and second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hear none. Motion is approved. Do we have anyone for public forum?
I received no speaker request forms. However, you may want to poll the audience.
Okay. If anybody is here to speak during the public forum, you're welcome to. We do limit to a 3-minute time frame for the sake of time. Is anyone here today to speak during the public forum? Seeing none, we will move on to contractor applications. Morning, guys.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, board. Our first applicant to appear before you today is Mr. Anton Barashev. Mr. Barashev, if you will please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anton Barashev. My address is 5997 Bourne Drive, Pensacola, Florida 32504.
Mr. Barashev appears before you today requesting approval to take the underground utility contractor examination. Mr. Barashev currently holds a general contractor's license and is using the time that he has held this license to verify his experience. He has held this license since September the 4th, 2020 to the present, totaling 5 years, 2 months, and 29 days of experience. He can utilize this experience based upon State Statute 489-113, subsection 3D, which states that a general contractor shall not be required to subcontract the construction of main sanitary sewer collection system, storm collection system, or water distribution systems, not including the continuation of utility lines from the mains to the building, and may perform any of the services on public or private property for which a license as an underground utility and excavation contractor is required under this part. Because Mr. Barashev will be utilizing his experience as a general contractor, staff will defer to the board for the approval or denial of this application.
Mr. Banchel, would you like to address the board this morning? Anything you would like to tell us?
Well, I just want to extend my my job and started to do the underground utility job as well for my projects. That's basically one of the most important stuff why I wanted this license.
Okay. Your experience level is showing that you were working with Delta Max Incorporated,
Yes,
is that right? Mm-hmm. Which is a certified general contractor?
yes,
And your experience working with them is stormwater retention products, manhole installation, sewer tap installation. Is these items are the ones that is not licensed under a general contractor, is that correct?
So Mr. Barashev holds the general contractor's license,
Right.
which allows for him to do these things under his license. He's wanting to get the license to allow him to do them on projects that he is not contracted for. So CGC, he can do his
On his
own,
own projects, right? Right.
but now he wants to be able to do this as a sub for others.
So your experience is on his own projects is what it is?
Correct.
Just wanted to clarify, that's all.
Yeah.
Board have questions?
Yeah, but you hold a GC license, correct?
Yes.
It's under your name?
Yes. Yes, it's my license.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve?
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none here, none. Motion has been approved. Congratulations and
All right,
best of luck with
appreciate
everything.
appreciate everybody.
yes, sir. And next,
So our next applicant to appear before you is Mr. Curtis McLaughlin. Mr. McLaughlin, if you will please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, sir.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Kurt McLaughlin, 1280 Mahogany Mill Road, Pensacola, 32507.
Mr. McLaughlin appears before you today requesting to take the building contractor examination. If you recall, Mr. McLaughlin did appear before you originally October the 1st, and it was the pleasure of the board to request more documentation from Mr. McLaughlin documenting his experience in the field. Since the October date, Mr. McLaughlin has provided the additional documentation as requested by the board. To recap, he originally appeared before you with 5 years, 5 months, and 18 days of experience working under license holder Thomas Palayo, who holds a general contractor's license in the state of Oregon. Mr. Palayo's licensure information was included in the packet for your reference. I was able to reach Mr. Palayo via phone, and he did confirm Mr. McLaughlin's employment, stating he was a great problem solver, financially fiscal with jobs, and was very dependable and competent with his hands-on construction. The applicant the application provided now has an experience verification form for additional experience. The new form states Mr. McLaughlin worked for Inline Commercial Construction from December 3rd of 2006 to December 1st of 2009, totaling 2 years and 11 months. The license holder was Mr. Brandon Flint. Mr. Flint was contacted via phone. He stated the applicant was hired as a carpenter and framer by trade. He was hired for this role and did work his way up to a foreman in the company. While with the company, Mr. Flint stated he was involved as an assistant superintendent and was heavily involved in medical center alterations. Mr. McLaughlin provided additional documentation for this experience after the agenda was published. I did clarify with Mr. Flint that the job names and photographs provided in this documentation were completed under Inline Commercial Construction. This documentation was printed by staff, and then pending your approval to distribute it to the board, we do have that documentation ready.
would anybody like to see that documentation, or
We
I need a motion
A motion to distribute the documentation.
and a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved.
Contained within this packet will be descriptions of commercial projects that were overseen by the applicant with the corresponding photographs. A detail of his job description and duties are also included on the newly provided experience verification form. Staff also included the license information for the qualifier for Inline Commercial Construction Incorporated. Because this application is returning before you with the documentation requested for consideration, the board will defer, or staff will defer to the board for approval.
Thank you. If you could give us just a couple minutes for us to peruse this, just to.
Absolutely.
So these images that you're showing, so what role did you play in the construction of these images?
There's a multitude of projects there, including a large list of medical projects that I've completed. Most of these projects are all these photos are either in the midst of the project or finish of the project. That I was either the superintendent or project manager on. Mr. Flint was, Brandon Flint is the son of the original owner.
All these pictures are of completed projects. I don't see anything in the images, which is, halfway through a project, start of a project, from foundation to ground up?
I can provide another 3,000 or 4,000 photos off of my phone, but and to be concise, if like this is what the project was, just
So-
showing.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So another thing is you're asking for a building contractor's license, and then I see on your experience verification, it says light commercial.
That's what we-
Multifamily, you've got the residential, rehabs, multifamily, then light commercial.
Is what we call it in Oregon, where I'm from, is light commercial, anything 5 stories or less. So, my mistake for just the words that we're using. But from the,
Mr. McLaughlin, can you do us a favor and speak up? I see she's kind of struggling to hear you, okay?
I have a paralyzed vocal cord, sorry. The Salem Ambulatory Surgery Center was from design to really infilling wetlands all the way into the engineering creep scopes, watching after we redistributed dirt and filled, and then they put the plates in with the piles and watched how much they sink for 18 months to decide how big pilings and how big footings needed to be, all the way through finishing that project. The PG couldn't get power there for 3 months because of the size of the power that building needed. They weren't prepared to do that, so we actually finished that building with a generator so that we could get all the finishes without having them having it all conditioned, since our temperature there is much more varying, even though it's freezing cold here today. Through to walking through with DHS to get that hospital, that surgery center approved for final. But projects in existing hospitals, the NICUs, all phases from start to finish. Typically I've started with architects on initial design with owners to just doing TIs and fit outs, retrofits. From cell phone stores, I spent a big focus in medical for about 15 years. So starting with inline actually.
Can you turn your mic on?
Trades that were
Push it. There you go. It's ready.
Can you describe some of the trades that were involved with your work in these projects?
all trades. As a GC, I started life as a carpenter, Hallmark Interiors, doing commercial metal studs, mostly interiors. Grid was probably my specialty there for about 8 years before going on to inline. Starting as a carpenter, working my way up into a PM role. So dealing with all the trades. So from underground work, excavation, steel fabricators, the drywall electrician, low voltage. Man, what Cat 3, Cat 5 to fiber. I mean, the evolution of kind of all that. HVAC, finishes, all the casework, all the way to the accessories, you know, on a commercial project. That's a huge piece of the role. It's always at the end, and that stuff's all long lead order items. So if you wait until you're needing it, you're a little behind the ball. Mm-hmm. So, including restroom partitions, which are ridiculously expensive and take forever to get as well. So, all of them. I have a list of when I go into I have on my laptop the schedule that kind of has all of our all the things that we pre-order or get approval for the submittals and then acquisitions, and typically how long they take. I have to go back and look at that list. I keep it in that on my schedules just so I can go back and remind myself, making sure that I'm getting all those long lead items hit. 2012, 13, we started having issues with lights. You know, they stocked them all until the economy crashed, and then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we need to order some lights, and it was like, oh, we're gonna bring that stuff in from China.
Mr. McClellan, could you speak into the mic a little?
Sorry.
I don't mean to be. I know you have a throat situation, but
Yep.
we want to make sure she can hear everything clear. That's all. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, or?
Yeah, basically, your projects involve all the trades from, earthwork to final completion. So you do, you get into structural, mechanical, electrical,
Yeah.
all facets of the construction. So yeah, that answered my question.
Yeah, I am not an electrician or a plumber or an HVAC person, but having worked around them and near them on a near daily basis for 35 years, I'm pretty good at seeing what needs to be done and solving the problems for them as well. So,
Thank you.
Vance, have any questions? Do I have a motion from someone?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hear none. You've been approved, Ms. Coughlin, for this, and good luck with everything. I know it's a little bit different, even though you brought that Oregon weather with you today.
I've been here for a month.
We don't appreciate that, but other than that,
I have to go back later this week. I'm not.
There you go.
And thank you also for bringing in the additional documentation.
Yes.
Thank you. Sincerely appreciate that. Yeah.
I tried to get a few more, but getting everybody to help out is not always as easy as I would hope it to be.
Well, thank you for the extra efforts. Thank you. And good luck.
Next.
Good morning, Board. The next applicant appearing before you today is Mr. David Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is David Reynolds. My address is 6021 Lancaster Court, Pace, Florida, 32571.
Wonderful. Now, Mr. Reynolds is applying to reciprocate his registered roofing contractor license from Santa Rosa County with the license number RC 29027969. And he appears before you today with 8 years of experience. He has worked as field supervisor with Davis Roofing under certified roofing contractor Mr. Michael Davis, who holds an active license with the number CCC 1330079 since 2012. And Mr. Reynolds' responsibilities as field supervisor include, but are not limited to, managing 18 staff members and their timesheets, along with all aspects of the roofing operations, ordering material, job costs, and obtaining permits for commercial roofing projects according to the documents he provided. And Mr. Reynolds did select yes on one of the financial responsibility questions, and he did provide an explanation along with the discharge documents that you can find within the agenda items. And based on court records provided on this applicant, as well as this applicant being a applicant for reciprocity, staff will defer to the board for the final decision.
Mr. Reynolds, would you like to address the board? Tell us anything?
Well, the paper says I got 8. I actually have 38 years experience. I worked for Jones Roofing, but like the gentleman just said, it's hard to get other people to get the information sent to you. But I do have 38 years in the field. I actually put every metal panel, excuse me, on the outside of this building. So done a lot of work, a lot of experience.
So it's not your first day on the job for sure then, right?
No, sir, not at all.
Thank you for your explanation of the bankruptcy thing. Appreciate you. Was that any questions from anybody? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Or any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Board members, our next applicant to appear before you is Mr. Reiner Crabtree. Mr. Crabtree, if you please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir.
Good morning, Rainer Crabtree, 6266 Billary Road, Pace, Florida, 32571.
Mr. Crabtree appears before you requesting to reciprocate his residential contractor's license, license number RR282812156 from Santa Rosa County. He comes before you with 4 years, 4 months, and 13 days of experience, holding his licensure from July the 1st, 2021 to the present. He has provided a detailed list of projects that were completed on his experience verification form for your reference. Staff has also verified financial criminal history is cleared for this applicant. Because this application is reciprocity, staff will defer to the board for approval.
Mr. Crabtree, would you like to address the board this morning? Anything?
I don't have anything further to add, sir.
Okay. So you've been in business for yourself since 2021?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? Did you work for another builder or something before that? Or was
I began my business probably back in 2017 as just a light residential type non-structural contractor. Began the venture to get my contractor's license when I realized that I needed to be able to bring subs in, plumbers and things like that, to stay legal. So that's why I ventured off and got my contractor's license and started a new company. I went from CNR Home Improvement to CNR Custom Homes to allow me to hire those subcontractors in and stay within the purview of the law.
That was a good move. We appreciate that. Anybody have any questions? Do I have a decision from someone? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jinx.
Yeah.
And so who's the second then?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right. And the next applicant appearing before you today is Miss Ashley Preston. Ms. Preston, please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Renee Preston. My address is 4929 Ward Basin Road, Milton, Florida 32583.
Yes, Ms. Preston is applying to reciprocate her registered general contractor license from Santa Rosa County with the license number RG2911041125 and appears before you today with 6 years of experience. She worked as manager from 2018 to 2022 with John Kiley Builders Incorporated under registered general contractor John Kiley, who holds an active license with the number RG0051234 since 2004. Ms. Preston was issued her RG license in 2022, and currently she has worked as general contractor with her active license as owner and general contractor for Southern Oak Contracting Group Incorporated. And Ms. Preston's responsibilities as manager and GC include, but are not limited to, managing 10-plus staff members during remodels, new construction for residential and commercial projects, overseeing all installations, foundation, driveways, and sidewalks, and that's according to the documents provided. And based on this being an application for reciprocity, staff will defer to the board for the final decision.
Ms. Preston, I see that the application, the check mark is actually for building contractor, and that's what the agenda actually has detailed. Yes. But you are wishing to reciprocate your general contractor's license, correct?
Yes.
So actually, this would be a reciprocity of general contractor, not building contractor. It appears like from this application, general was checked and then maybe whited out and then building.
I see that, yeah.
So she is reciprocating her general contractor.
Thank you.
Ms. Ashley, Mr. Preston, would you like to tell us anything this morning?
I know it's probably odd for a woman to be up here as a general contractor. It's fairly, in the construction field, it's generally a man's area. However, I was born and raised in the construction field. My dad was a builder back in the 80s until he became disabled. And then, unfortunately, I kind of stuck with it in him and the flooring industry and stuff. And then I married into the field, marrying another general contractor as well. And so it's just something I'm familiar with, born and raised with. And I've been in Santa Rosa County my whole life. And now that I'm in my late 30s, I am hoping to expand a little bit more and really take this over and make a name for myself.
Who was your dad, may I ask?
Lamar Evers.
Lamar Evers.
He built Holly by the Sea back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Very well known. Good builder.
Thank you.
And you work with John Colley?
I do. Still do to this day. Help him out. Yes.
He needs a lot of help.
That is true.
He's a great guy. He's an old friend of mine. That's why I said that. Any questions?
And your references are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none. Ms. Ashley, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's not too unusual anymore, but we're happy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Lamar Evers. Finally, board, our final applicant to appear before you today is Mr. Sean Grease. Mr. Grease, if you'll please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sean Grisey.
Or Grisey, forgive me. He is coming before you today presenting a change of status form for a business name change. He has provided all documentation for that name change to be completed. However, just as with applications for examination and for reciprocity, there are financial and criminal histories questions which are presented on this form. Anytime that those are answered yes, it does have to appear before you for approval. In this case, he did answer yes to question number 8, where adjudication was withheld. Copies of those court records have been included for the board's reference, and we will need your approval to process this business name change.
Would you like to address the board this morning?
No, sir.
So what's the change in the name?
We're going from a doing business as a LLC.
DBA to an LLC?
Sir.
Yes,
I didn't see LLC on here. I didn't recognize. Maybe I missed it somewhere.
He's listed it as Prestige Plumbing and Gas.
Right.
On the change of status form, sir.
So it will be a LLC
Yes,
instead of a DBA. Gotcha. Gotcha. I know it's not a fun thing bringing up past stuff, but that was 2009 that there was a
Yes, sir.
altercation on. It's been almost 20 years now, so.
So what happened with this board, when Mr. Grisey came and got his license, it wasn't disclosed at that time. He disclosed it on this one, and so it needed to come to you for approval.
Everything's been clean and all.
Yes.
Good deal. Thank you for, I know our past follows us sometimes, and we don't, but at least, you own it. Go forward, so that's good news.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, raise your right hand. What? I missed it. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. Congratulations,
Thank you.
man. Thank you.
You can check the box, follows directions.
Man, we are, Merry Christmas this morning. We approved everybody today.
Well, we got
That's not always likely. I'm talking about on the applications. Thank you, guys. If we don't see you, have a good Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you all.
Sorry.
That is in the official minutes now.
I wanted worldwide so bad. And then I started singing the song, so don't write that down.
Off the record.
Yeah, off the record. I can say that and it doesn't go in, right?
Turn your mic off.
You're
I don't
clear.
have mine on. Oh, wait, you have yours on. Hey.
All right, Board, our next item
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
is Jeffrey W. Myers, doing business as Jeff Myers Construction, Inc., state registered license number RR 282811736. Contractor Competency Board complaint number 250765COM. It's in regard to a complaint that was internally filed by this board. Proper notice was sent to the respondent. Mr. Myers, are you present today? Please make note that Mr. Myers is not present. So this hearing has been continued quite a few times. We've received communications that there was a potential appeal filed with Santa Rosa County. Santa Rosa County found Mr. Myers in violation of certain code items in their jurisdiction, and they subsequently disciplined him. Our county ordinance says that if a license holder that is licensed here in Escambia County has their license suspended or revoked in another jurisdiction, then this board can also take action. We received further communication from Santa Rosa County. We did put a request in that a representative from Santa Rosa come over, and they sent back, just a communication about an update. If you'd like to hear that update from Melissa, I can hand it over to her.
I think it's in our notes too.
It is
but yeah.
in your backup, but Melissa, if you'd like to go
Yes.
ahead.
Thank you.
I need to be sworn in. Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
We're going to go ahead and have Ms. Reber sworn.
You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I swear. We received information from Attorney Tom Danheiser about the appeal that Mr. Myers was attempting to do. He states Mr. Myers timely filed a request for appeal, but has failed to advise what particular issue he is appealing. Without specificity, the BCC can't proceed as they wouldn't know what his appeal is about, i.e., is it factual dispute, a legal dispute? He said he's discussed this with him and he's awaiting his clarification.
It's at the board's discretion on how they want to proceed. Mr. Myers is not present today. Again, this meeting has been continued several times. If you'd like, I can bring up the administrative complaint. May aid you in your decision-making. The code section that this board is looking at is Code Section 1837C7, revocation or suspension of a certificate holder's registration by the Florida Construction Industry Licensing Board or by a certificate holder's certificate of competency from other jurisdiction may be considered by this board as just cause for suspension or revocation of the county's certificate of competency. So that is what this board is looking at today. And we are at, of course, a disciplinary hearing.
If I'm not mistaken, the last meeting, we kind of kicked the can down the road waiting to see what happens with Santa Rosa County. And right now, nothing's happened with Santa Rosa County.
So Santa Rosa County, their board attorney has requested on several occasions additional information from Mr. Myers. He did request an appeal, but until they can get the information that they're seeking, no appeal date can be done. So that is the most recent update. He still has not provided what they've asked of him, his justification for his appeal request.
And right now, he doesn't have permit privileges in Escambia County.
He does.
So his license has not been affected here. In Santa Rosa County, his license was suspended for a period of 24 months. So a 2-year suspension in Santa Rosa County was the discipline he received there. So he cannot pull permits in Santa Rosa.
Does he currently have any open permits in Escambia County?
We did review that at one of our previous board meetings, and there were not many, a few here and there. If you'd like to look at that again, I can definitely bring that up for you. Yes, sir.
Santa Rosa County, their decision, just so everybody knows what the other, the county that the infraction happened in. Suspended for 24 months, license suspended, remains suspended thereafter until all fines, restitution conditions set forth in this order are fully satisfied. He was assessed a $5,000 fine. In addition to the reinstatement of Mr. Myers' license, he must remit payment of $28,565.67 to the homeowner, Mr. Seth Hoffman. During the period of suspension, he should not engage in any contracting activity within Santa Rosa County, not limited to applying for permits or acting as a qualifying agent for anybody else. And then they recommended the Florida CILB take additional disciplinary action.
That is correct.
So just to get the feel for what their mindset was when they dealt with this.
So on your screen, this is the information that I brought up for you before. There's some old permitting from 2012. That is more than likely just whenever it got transferred over from system to system, it's still showing as issued. However, within the last few years, from 2022 forward, there are 3 permits that are still at an issued status. The most recent permitting was obtained in June of 25, so doesn't have many permits.
Do we know what the scope of work was with the permit?
It's like August of 25 is one of them.
June 6th.
Second one.
It's 2 for the same property.
Oh, okay.
I can bring them both
That's okay.
for you.
I just saw the dates, not the address.
Well, so just a little side note, your permit number, 2506, that's your year and month.
Right.
That's how we know whenever, quickly. Detached garage roof and probably a new single-family dwelling roof, since they're both at the same address.
It's
Mm-hmm. And actually, it had a roof in progress in August. That's why you saw that August date on there. Just has not had a final. Mm-hmm.
So this has been going on for months, and last month it was moved for him to have more time, which is what was requested. But as of the 24th of November, there still is nothing. And it seemed like maybe we should follow the suit of the Santa Rosa County and,
Yeah.
their decision, since there's no action being taken.
What about the situation on the open permit? It's just a roof, and he had a progress inspection in August. I mean, what's the status of that work?
Well, the roof was
So
actually
I
on
will
a
say
house.
historically, Mr. Paul, that when this board takes action against his license,
Mhm.
you have always said that you're not going to harm the citizen and any open permits can be completed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Able to finish what started, but no more from this forward,
Well, I wasn't intending to injure that project. Just what's the status of the project? There might be another complaint. There might be some sort of issue that he's not going to finish. It's open to the elements.
For us, it's still deemed an open permit because it was inspected with a roof in August. So he has 6 months in which to get an inspection. We haven't been notified of any issues. It's still an active open permit.
Ms. Jennifer, the main permit there, is that
This one?
Yes, ma'am. Is that for a house? I know we saw the other one was a roof. Is this for, what
It's
is
for the actual garage.
It's for the actual garage
That
itself.
roof permit keeps this project going.
I got you.
Mhm.
So it's just a detached garage is all he's building right now.
Yes, sir.
What inspections have been completed?
Uh,
Thank you for,
It had, the most recent inspection was a miscellaneous. Homeowner insulated the garage in September. So just a few weeks after that roof was inspected, they had an insulation inspection in the garage.
okay. So it's not too far from being finished, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And if I recall correctly, he did mention in here that he was working on finishing that up from prior testimony.
Mm-hmm. So do I have a motion from anyone to move forward? To follow after Santa Rosa County?
So if we decide to pull his privileges in Escambia County, will he be able to finish that project?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But just not able to go forward for, the 24 months and then pay the restitution to those people and $5,000 to Escambia County.
Okay. I'm making a motion to approve.
We would be doing it for Escambia County though.
So
we, according to what we have here on page 3, penalty guidelines for violating, go down just a tad, yeah.
Right. In the actual code section, it says it's just cause for suspension or revocation of the certificate of competency. It does say within that code section that the penalty guidelines are a $100 to $5,000 fine, and such other penalty is provided within the code section.
Right.
So
So we could do the 5,000 like Santa Rosa did, is that correct?
it's available to you.
That's what that's what I was referring to. So what was your motion?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend his license for 24 months and a $5,000 fine.
So suspension in Escambia County cannot exceed a year. So in the last paragraph there, suspension for a period not exceeding 1 year. So suspension can only be a year or less.
Okay, then I make a motion that we suspend his license for a year and a $5,000 fine.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I ask one more clarification? Obviously, Santa Rosa County was able to do restitution. We don't have that, so all we can do is what we're doing right now, correct? Yes.
Accurate.
Okay, just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that part. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to suspend license for 1 year with a $5,000 fine. And do we want to recommend something to the CILB at the same time?
I just wanted, there had been a discussion about what he has a project open. You're going to suspend the permitting privileges, but you're going to allow him to finalize the project that he has open.
Right.
Suspend his license, but allow him to finalize the project he has open.
We're just suspending the license for a period of 1 year of pulling permits.
Okay. Okay, there's a distinction there. So if you suspend his license, Tim, I may need your help on this. If you suspend his license, he's done and he can't do anything else, right? But if you suspend his permitting privileges, then he can't pull any more permits. So that would allow him to finish the project.
So how it reads in the actual code section, just cause for suspension or revocation of his certificate of competency. It does not speak to permitting privileges, right? Suspension of license would take away his ability to do anything. However, this board has spoken about they want him to have the ability to finish that one project. So what Christy is saying, you would need to include that in your motion for his suspension of license, allowing him to finish that project.
problem is that technically, if you don't have a license, you can't build.
You can't.
So, so that's one of those distinctions. If you want him to finish that project, how many months does he have left to finish that project?
Should not be long.
It'd be 6 months from when he pulled the first permit, right?
Well, it would be 6 months from the last action, which would have been September 2nd. So
So March.
Can we make a-
March 2nd would be when that permit would technically expire.
Unless he gets another inspection. Let me ask you this, Ms. Christie. Is there a way for this motion to be amended to say what's been said?
Which one? Because this code section here specifically says this. Mm-mm, not in there.
Okay. So I was thinking of ways that you could do this. You could do it. You could set a time for when the suspension goes into effect. So you want suspension to go into effect at the end of this, when this roof is finalized? When the project is finalized, you could kick it, you could have it go in, when the final inspection is done, he is suspended at that point, for a year from that date. I think you could do that.
Well, we don't want him to give him the opportunity to come in there within that 6 month span to pull another permit.
Right, but then what would happen to him is that he pulls that permit, he's not going to be able to do the work. If he pulls any permits within that 6 month span, he's not going to be able to do the work because he's not going to be able to finish the project.
No, I understand that, but he may not care. He may just pull the permit, get a deposit, and, move on.
Have we spoken to the people who have the permit in Pensacola?
No, I've not spoken to anybody.
So I think what we're trying to do is to allow him to finish the current job, but at the same time, not allow him to pull any additional permits. Now, if we have to put a time frame on that, saying that, hey, from 6 months from the last inspection, that we'll revisit this at that time, and then we can determine whether we want to put a suspension on it or not, based on what's happened between now and then with Santa Rosa County.
Let me help you a little bit more, because I don't know, other than my most recent roofing project, I don't know anything about, let's ask a quick question on roofing about what inspections remain, because it appears to just be a final inspection.
And then also, so what you have is a detached garage and the roof, 2 different permits. On the detached garage is finals, and on the roof is a final as well.
Is there any reason why we can't send an inspector out there mid-project without a request? What I'm trying to find out for you is, what is the status of that project?
Correct. So we can make.
Because if we can send somebody out there to take a look at it and see what the status is, then they can come back to this board in January.
Exactly.
And then you can make your decision then.
Exactly.
We could send someone. I mean, they could tell us to leave and we have to leave, but.
It was on. Well, the homeowner might allow you to do it, though. That's who I would contact, is the homeowner, and tell them there's no reason that the homeowner can't know what's already in public record, which is, we're about to suspend this guy's license, and we want to make sure your project is completed before we do that. And you may find out more information. I think that would be prudent, considering what this board has already expressed, or at least the motion has been made, about what the board wants to do in this situation where you want to suspend the license.
Ms. Christie, I want to rely on the experience of these 2 old guys that's been up here.
At least a little while.
I'm talking about Mr. Batchelor. He looked at you as the old guy.
Experience here, old guy.
And this old guy here. If I'm not mistaken, in the past, though, we did this and we put the exception in the motion for them to complete a certain project. Just that one project is all we allowed them the ability to do. is that available for us on this, to go ahead and suspend the license, but end the motion with the permission to finish and list these two building permit numbers, so that if he drags these things out, because if he gets an inspection in 6 months, another miscellaneous, he can drag it on, he could drag this thing on for years. Nobody wants to do that, but I just think that we could probably do that and resolve everything. Does that sound?
I'm not challenging that yet. I think that your building official has to answer the question, can he do construction in Escambia County when he has a suspended license?
No.
That's what the problem is.
Right. But if we put in the motion, suspend the license with the privilege of finishing these permits, we've done that before. I'm almost positive, haven't we?
I think we did it on, there was 2 cases that was done on. That was on Mytran and Shooting Stars.
Yeah, I remember doing that. So why can't we do that now?
You can put it in your motion. I just think that I don't know what, I realize we've done it in the past, but I think in the past we had different charges. This is a different charge. This one doesn't allow any actions on the permit. So if you scroll down to the bottom, and that's what we were looking at, if this one has specific requirements to what you're limited that you can do.
Right.
But in a general one where it had these other charges, if you scroll all the way down, you get that general paragraph on the wherefore, which allows you to work a little bit more with the licensing to limit permitting privileges. But that's not this charge. That's what the problem is. This charge doesn't fall within that category. It's specific to
Up here, it specifically says suspension or revocation. It doesn't talk about permitting privileges.
where's that? Let's look up the Municode. Give me just a moment. If we can just take a quick break, I'm gonna look up Municode and see
Yes,
if we
we'll
can't
take
find
5 minutes, 5-minute break.
5 minutes, that's all I got? I'm just messing.
We get 3? I remember doing that before. I remember doing that before.
Yeah, I think we're just going to revoke his license.
I think they can.
Okay, we will be back in session.
So we had an opportunity to look at the code section, the section as a whole. So there is the possibility under C, which this falls under C7, under C, where it talks about placing a contractor on probation. So what you could do is put him on probation until this permit is completed, and as a condition of that probation, not allow him to pull a permit, because you can set the conditions of probation. And then his suspension will kick in, and then you could allow the suspension to kick in after this permit is finalized. So it's up to him how long he wants. His best interest would be to go ahead and take care of this, get the roof done, get the probation over, and start the suspension so that it would correlate with the 24 months out there in Santa Rosa. But if he chooses not to do that, then he makes that determination. So it's a probation with suspension of permitting privileges until this project is completed. And once the final is done on this project, or if the permit has to be canceled because no further action is taken, or canceled because there was no, it expires? The word is expires. The word, so if the permit expires because there's no further action taken on the permit, or until this project is completed, whichever occurs first, probation will terminate at the same time and your suspension will kick in for a year. You want me to say
Hang on just a second. Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, all you gotta do is get an attorney to make it a lot of words. I can take the simplest agreement and complicate it.
So to word this properly, would you like to give us the verbiage and then him just be able to make a motion as
stated?
Mm-hmm. And then you won't have to read, because I'm trying to write all this down. There ain't no way in the world I'll get all this.
Okay. So you'll put him on probation. The motion would be to put Mr. Myers on probation until the completion of the current open permit, or the permit expires for inaction, with the suspension to run consecutive to the permit, or to the probation.
Suspension of permitting privileges.
Suspension of license. So you'll have, I'll do it again. I'm sorry. So you're going to put him on probation until this particular permit terminates, either because it's finalized, right, or because it is expired. Whichever comes first. And then the license would suspend with the termination of the probation. And if I understood you correctly, you said a 12-month suspension.
That's right.
We're in there, are we putting in that his permitting privileges is suspended during the probation?
And as a special condition of probation, his permit privileges would be suspended.
So.
Let me do it again.
Let's put it all together.
Okay.
Probation until the existing permit is completed or the permit expires due to inactivity. At such time, there will be a 12-month suspension that will become activated immediately after the probation, with the special condition of suspension of permitting privileges during the probation period.
Correct. And the probation will end whichever comes first.
That's what I
okay.
said that. I think I said that.
So your motion first would be to find him in violation? And then the determination of what the penalty would be?
I make a motion that that Jeff Myers Construction was in violation of the statutes.
Okay, you have to have the whole thing.
No, he's finding him in violation
Can we just
of-
stop for just a minute, please? Yeah, let's,
It's 2 steps. Your first step is to find him in violation as charged. So I think that's the motion he just made. Is that right?
Yes.
Second.
all right. So I have a motion on the floor that is in violation of charges as stated. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you. That's the first one. The second one would be to give probation to Mr. Myers until the existing permit is completed or the permit expires due to inactivity, whichever comes first. At such time, a 12-month suspension would be activated immediately after the probation period, with the special condition of suspending all permitting privileges during the probation time.
And a suspension of 12 months.
I said 12-month suspension.
Sorry. Yes,
So does somebody want to make that motion as stated?
I make a motion as stated.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Let it be noted. No, I'm kidding.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved as whatever we stated.
And your last action on this hearing would be to
CILB.
recommend, make a recommendation to the CILB.
Senator Rose's was that they would take additional disciplinary action just for somebody who wants to make a motion.
Just to let you know, at the end of that paragraph on your screen, that's your options available to you.
We can do no further action, a fine, suspension, revocation, restrictions, or a combination. So Senator Rose had recommended that they take additional and just left it in their wheelhouse. I need a motion from someone to follow suit.
I make a motion for it to go before the Construction Industry Licensing Board for them to take further action how they so decide.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, hearing none, motion is approved. I think we made it through that one.
Everybody wipe your brow.
All right, board. Our next item is a sunshine law presentation.
Can I just mention one thing real quick, Miss Jennifer?
What's that, sir?
The
Ooh, pretty.
current legislative session has a bill that's going forward that looks like it's going to take good traction, that there will be forms sent from the state now, uniform
That's
guidelines.
correct. I have seen that. Because they receive different types of orders from
Right.
different jurisdictions,
Right.
they would like a universal
Uniform.
form.
Right.
Once we receive that, our orders will look a little bit differently to comply with this new legislation.
And it's supposed to help Tallahassee take quicker action on what we're doing, because right now it's over a year for anything to take place. So this is
Accurate.
supposed to be, accurate.
And that was evidenced back when we were handling Matt Banks, Jesse Lacoste.
Right.
We took action, and then it wasn't until 6, 7, 8 months later that they ultimately revoked their registered licenses. So this should expedite that process.
There's been some of the progress that's been made by those who are trying to influence it positively.
Yes, sir.
Because of things like that. Ms. Christie, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Y'all need coffee?
I think I do. I'll move. You have to get out of here, don't you, Mr. Patel? All right. We'll move right along. But This one's a little different. As you know, we do a Sunshine Law presentation to the different boards every year to keep everybody up to date. There hasn't been many changes on Sunshine Law. You can go ahead. We've talked before about the Pork Chop Gang. I tend to find more and more things about them that are not flattering, but we're not going to delve too much into that because we've added videos this year to show you about boards that made errors in judgment that cost them money and possible incarceration. So the Pork Chop Gang, as you know, was the original slate of legislatures in North Florida that ran the whole state. Things began to change after in 1967, 1968. In 1967 and 1968, that's when Florida rewrote its constitution. That there was also a requirement that there would be additional. There had to be some work done to to allow the rest of the state to have proper representation on our maps in our voting districts. But also what was happening, this is an older story. This is about the Everglades. If you remember, we talk about the Everglades on a bet. John Pennekamp was the editor of the Miami Herald. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas wrote the book Rivers of Grass. And they were very active in the preservation of the Everglades, which appears to be under attack again. But they were very active in the preservation of Everglades. It's very important to Florida's, especially South Florida's environment and their conditions down there. And John Pennekamp, if you recall, went to a poker game at a Florida Power and Light. I didn't know that they were around that long, but they were with Florida Power and Light fishing camp and started winning a lot of money off of our state legislators. And they finally told him, look, what's it going to cost us to get you out of our pockets and into the pockets of the state, basically. And he told them how much they wanted, and they said, fine, it's yours, come along. So they quit. So he ended up being able to buy a large portion of the Everglades and dedicate that to the national protections. The next one? Oh, she's gone. There we go. And then Emory Red Cross was the one who was responsible for pushing through our legislation to make our government more transparent, what we call the Sunshine Law, which required that meetings that are held between two or more people of the board have to be done in the public eye. So you can't have backdoor conversations. You shouldn't be whispering off mics. You shouldn't be having, even here, don't lean back and have conversations off mics. You'll know that you've seen me, or you've heard me catch it and say, don't do that. Even if you're just talking about the weather because it's miserably cold, either snow or get warm. But I don't really care for cold weather. So now that we've had all that snow, I've been spoiled. So even if you're even if you're just talking about the weather or your kids or something else, it's the perception that you want to avoid. You want to try to not talk off mic. Don't lean back and have a conversation, because there's people in here that are watching. There's people with us that are on the TV watching or on their computers watching. So be careful about that, because we don't want to ever give the perception that we've done anything inappropriate or that we're trying to make decisions or make comments or give our impression to another person on a board. So never out of the presence of the public. Never meet off camp. That does not mean that you can't have your own, doesn't mean that we're affecting your First Amendment rights. You still have a right to speech. Doesn't mean that you can't go to, and have coffee together or do things together. It just means be very careful with the perception. We certainly get invited to many of the same things simply because you're in the same industry. So you're going to end up being invited to probably the same Christmas parties, all at Alton's house. He told me about it. We're going to go. I'm just kidding. There's no party. And so if we can have the next screen. So we originally did have a public records law in 1909, and then of course in 1967 we codified the government and the Sunshine Law, which created the restrictions of board members meeting outside of the public eye. Then we have the Florida Constitution in 1992. It was so important to us in the state of Florida that we memorialized it. And here are the requirements. They have to be open to the public. There has to be notice, and the minutes must be taken and promptly recorded. The minutes don't necessarily have to be a transcript. We transcribe our meetings. What you're doing is quasi-judicial work, so we do transcribe our meetings. But in general board meetings, where they're not handling something that's necessarily, if it's not quasi-judicial, it's not as important. And the large board does not have a court reporter present. The Board of County Commissioners, they just have minutes of the clerk. So you'll also notice there down at the below, this is one of those areas. The Sunshine Law doesn't apply to the legislature or the judiciary. They write the rules. And the judiciary, of course, is not under the same branch of government. And they do have their own public records requirements. But as you can imagine, there's a number of things that happen within the judiciary. Family law cases, violence cases, things that need to be more protected for the purpose of the individuals that are involved. So they're not under the same rules, but they do have a public record policy. If we have the next one. And then this is the breakdown of all meetings of any board or commission, of any state agency. Then it goes on to the next one. Reasonable notice of all such meetings. And the minutes of the meeting have to be promptly recorded. And then in 2013, we added this provision of a reasonable opportunity to be heard to the statute. Things to know about this is it doesn't have to occur at the same time, but it has to occur before the decision on the item is made. And then, of course, there's exceptions to every rule, right? So when we know hurricane, and after last year, after earlier this year, we know about snow. And those are times when emergency things are happening. Of course, people don't have to be heard when we're having a ceremonial plaque presentation. And then, of course, there are specific things that are exempt as far as fire safety, blueprints, 911 infrastructure. That's all exempted. And quasi-judicial. You don't have to listen to just everybody that comes in, but we do give them the public forum option. And these are details about things that are strongly discouraged. These are opinions from former attorney generals about things to avoid and how to not circumvent the requirements of the law. And your penalties. I'm not seeing the videos pop up. Okay, well. Did you see some highlight? I didn't see it. Okay. Well, let's flip back and see.
We talking about bold?
Yeah, that's not going to be it. Those have been in there. Let me see what happened. If you want to see one of these videos, let me see if we can pull it up directly from the internet, if you have a minute. Oh, here we go. Good.
2 members of the Holmes County Community Development Commission are facing second-degree misdemeanor charges for allegedly violating Florida's Sunshine Law. Commission member Stephanie Smith-Cloud and Executive Director Joe Rohn are each charged with conspiracy to commit a Sunshine Law violation. State Attorney Larry Bassford's office filed the probable cause affidavit at the Holmes County Courthouse. It details the findings of State Attorney Investigation John Pettis into the Sunshine Law complaints. Pettis says Rohn committed a Sunshine Law violation by providing Cloud with a list of names of potential officer candidates and told her to contact other board members and discuss the other nominations. Cloud allegedly contacted other members of the nominating committee to discuss the names and even left a voicemail on other members' phones talking about the list. Both allegedly told Pettis this was common practice among the board. They've been issued notices to appear in court. They'll be arraigned on July 10th.
And there should be one more video. Was it this one? No. It would have been further back.
2 members.
In St. Johns County, several members of the Airport Authority are facing accusations of Sunshine Law violations, 3 in fact. News4JAX has obtained documents from the state attorney's office that accuse Reba Ludlow, you see her there on the screen on the left, Dennis Clark, and Lynn Tucker of holding private meetings. Tucker facing felony tampering charges in connection with the investigation. News4JAX reporter Chris Will explains.
It's a story that has been making waves on our website for the last 24 hours. 3 St. Johns County Airport Authority board members facing charges accused of repeatedly violating sunshine laws. But how did we get here? Let's go back to February when the Douglas Law Firm, the legal counsel for the airport, shared this letter to the board directly accusing Chair Reba Ludlow and board member Len Tucker of Florida Sunshine Law violations, saying it had to withdraw as legal counsel due to clear legal and ethical conflict.
I don't have to recuse myself because that's a rumor.
Fast forward to March 10th, the first meeting of the board after the allegations were made by the law firm. The board chair sharing that she believed there was no need to take any action.
Until there's some charges filed, we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing, except rumors.
Months later, charges have been filed. The state attorney's office filing these documents, in them accusing Ludlow, Tucker, and Dennis Clark of knowingly and intentionally attending private meetings, with witnesses claiming to have seen the board members having business discussions outside of public meetings, which the affidavit says is against Florida Sunshine Law, a law that establishes meetings of boards or commissions must be open to the public. That goes for any gathering of 2 or more members to discuss potential action. News4JAX confirmed board member Tucker turned himself into law enforcement before bonding out on Friday. According to documents from the state attorney's office, he is facing an additional felony tampering with a witness charge after they say the interim executive director of the airport told investigators he felt he was trying to be influenced and intimidated after a conversation with Tucker regarding the investigation. According to state law, penalties for violations of the Sunshine Law may include removal from office, voided decisions, fines, and possible jail time. Chris Will, Channel 4, the local station.
So although it's a misdemeanor violation to have these meetings outside of the public, you can see how quickly this escalated when the individual tried to protect himself by intimidating a witness. So it quickly goes to a felony. And so there's plenty of reasons to be careful about how you conduct yourself and how you appear. Any questions? I don't know what happened with them so far. That's going to be for the next meeting. We'll get some coverage for the next time we do this. And hopefully we won't have any more new violations. We just always like it when Escambia County is not the subject of the reports. At our trainings that we go to as attorneys, they pull up like board meetings that have gone awry. And we're always glad when Escambia County is not on the top of the list. We had a period there that was ugly for a while. So, any questions? You ready to go, Mr. Patel? All right.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Anything else on our agenda, Madam Secretary?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. Merry Christmas to you all and Happy New Year. We'll see you after the 1st.
Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
And make a motion for everyone to have a Merry Christmas.
Motion denied.
Hey!